UK here.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
A couple of days since the weekend's result, a game you had the chances to win, but does the point become more important now following the results to the title challenges?
Well, we weren't satisfied with the result, obviously, and looking and watching the game back more, and then with the other results even more, obviously. But I think it shows the competitiveness of every match, where the league is at the moment, how difficult and how much we have to value every point and every win, because you really have to earn it in the league. And now change the scenario. We are back in the Champions League here again a year later, and ready for tomorrow.
100% record in the Champions League away at InterMilan, a team you played last season as well. What are you expecting from them tomorrow night?
Well, a very similar context to last year. Obviously, where the two teams are at the moment is a bit different. A new manager as well, that I think has given them some other things in their identity and the way they play. But obviously, we know a super competitive team, a team that is dominating the league, and a really tough game.
Fitness update, please. Piero Hincapié, Ricardo Calafiori and Max Dalman weren't in training, so I expect they're not available for tomorrow. Christian Mosquera, Kai Havertz, both in the squad.
Yeah.
And is there any other fitness updates you can give
that's
us?
all.
And then it was a tough day for Victor Gyökeres at Nottingham Forest at the weekend. A game that probably came after his best performance for Arsenal against Chelsea. Does that show the scrutiny of being an Arsenal forward, or does he need to do better?
I think it goes for all the nines in the league, and how difficult it is to play that position nowadays, with the physicality, with the dominance of the centre backs and the quality of them, and the lack of spaces as well in most of the times during the match for them to exploit. But that's about consistency, about going again. We know his work rate. He's really trying to give his best, and we need to continue to work.
Garmish from Sky.
Hey there, Mikel.
Hi.
How important is this game against Inter, not only to try and secure that top two finish, but also for the momentum of your season?
Yes, for that, because every game in the Champions League, when you have the opportunity to achieve something, you have to grab it. And tomorrow we're really going to have to earn it against a top side. We know that. And then that we prepare every game, obviously, to win it. And the urgency is going to be the same tomorrow.
Are you having to think about your team selection in particular with this game? You've had 4 away games in a row. Well, it will be the 4th one. And you've got a huge game on Sunday against Manchester United.
Yeah. It's very particular for every game, I'm afraid, because every game have a different situation. The players are in different stages as well, and we will prepare the game, the lineup, and the finishers in the best possible manner to win the game.
Just how big a challenge has it been, those 4 away games? I think it's happened 3 times now in your tenure here at Arsenal, to have 4 away games in 4 different competitions.
That's the first time, no?
I mean, I did a bit of research. It looked like it's happened twice before. I could be completely wrong.
Okay.
I'll probably trust you more. But how big a challenge has it been? Because we've just gone through a period of time, notoriously, when there's loads of fixtures during the Christmas time. Now you've had 4 in 10 days, all away from home. Yeah.
Well, we have to adapt to that. That's the beauty of playing different competition and being in the latest stages of those, in all of them, and that's what we want. So I think that's a blessing. That's something really, really positive. And tomorrow we have the last one before we play at home again against United.
Tom from Football London.
Hi, Mikel. I know we always talk about the next game is the most important game, and Darmesh asked you about the Manchester United fixture. Is this a week where the next 2 games are the most important games, and they both kind of feature into one another?
We keep tricking the players, and the next one is the most important one of the season, and then 3 days later the same. That's the demands, that's the expectations that we have, that's the standards that we have set as well as a team and as a club, and we are living with that, with joy, with enthusiasm, and with a lot of energy, as requested.
And if I may ask you a tactical question, for so long you've played with inverted wingers, with right footers on the left and left footers on the right. Stylistically, how does that work? Why do you benefit most from choosing that style of setup, and why is that the way you approach wing play?
Well, sometimes it's about the preference of the players, where they feel more comfortable, and the way we are raising players at the moment, most of them want to play inverted foot. They feel much more comfortable as well. In the manner that we play, we adapt to that. We adapt to the qualities. The fact that in some areas we have only inverted footed, especially on the left unit, is not ideal. when that happens, but we adapt to the circumstances and what we have available.
Charlie, the son.
Mikel, do you think you're going to make a few changes tomorrow?
Let's see. After tomorrow, after a really good night of sleep, how we decide tomorrow morning.
And what's the difference between the Arsenal team that's going to play tomorrow night and the one that was here last season? Due to the experiences that you had both in the Champions League and in the Premier League, how much stronger are you?
Well, there are some different players as well. Let's see. Different coach for them as well. I think the task is going to be equally difficult, but I think we had watching it back a really strong performance here. The margin that we lost the game by a penalty, that obviously we all saw what happened there. Very disappointed. So we're going to know tomorrow how they set up. We have very clear idea what we have to win the game. I will try to apply that to be better than them.
Hi, Mikel. Arsenal are the only team in the Champions League this season that are unbeaten. Do you think that from here to the next round that the results here in terms of, obviously, bar a miracle, you are going to go through to the last 16, but can that run possibly have an impact on the last 16 and onwards in terms of form and whatnot?
I don't know. Performance and results have an impact emotionally on the team to a level of confidence, and we know that the match tomorrow is to come here and win the game, and that's a step that we didn't do last year, and we have to show that we are better than last year.
One thing that was quite noticeable from the Forest game was Martin Odegaard. I think in the game when he had one pass in the final third across the whole match. In terms of going forward, are you tempted to start Eberechi Eze, and what more does Eze need to do to possibly break into this team?
Depends on the game, depends on the type of opponent that we see, and then performances throughout the game. We see things that we can do, how we can hurt the opposition more, and we have the ability to change that.
James, ESPN.
Hi, Mikel. I think it's your 33rd game of the season tomorrow. And just looking ahead, I mean, it could be, I think, a 65-game season if you get all the way in all four competitions. I mean, do you think everything that your squad's been through to this point tells you that you can cope with that?
Yes, but I think we have to go game by game. We can try to look ahead, but what is coming and what is relevant is the next match. And sometimes we've been thinking a lot about the future, the next week or 2-3 weeks time, and something happens that you have to adapt to the circumstances. So go game by game, enjoy the journey that we are in, because it's great, and go for it every single game, and let's see what the next one brings.
How important is it then for you that you've got a top 8 finish so you don't have the 2 extra games?
That's massive. We know that, and if we win tomorrow, we know that that's going to be the case, so let's make it happen.
We'll take some questions from Italian media now.
Buonasera, Mikel.
Good evening. Congratulations. You're top of the Champions League table and the Premier League table, and that's because you're very diligent and studious. Football's a very fast game these days. How have you been able to be patient with your ideas even when the going got tough, and how were you able to make sure that you had that faith about things getting better? The first thing you need to do is convince your footballers. When the players look at you, you need to see that they're listening to what they have to do. That's always been the idea. And then we'll see it game after game. It'll be a different fixture tomorrow. There will be some times when we'll be dominating proceedings, and there'll also be times when the opposition are on top, but we'll see. We always try and adapt. Good evening, Mikel. I'm over here. Last year, among all of Inter's matches in the Champions League, the game against Arsenal was perhaps the only one, besides the final, where they actually came away with more than they deserved. In your opinion, what do you think Arsenal need to do differently this year, besides the fact that you're going to respond saying by winning, okay, I've already called your bluff on that, so you need to say something else. I want to ask you something else. We'll see. This is a match against a slightly more aggressive team. They have a lot of talent and the ability and the mentality. We'll see how the game pans out. We have a very clear idea in terms of the match we want to play, and then we'll see whether, when we have opportunities to score goals and try and dominate proceedings, all that's very important. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, you and Gabriel Jesus had a little wander around the pitch. You know San Siro very well because you came here as a player, 4-0 against Milan, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I played here. I had my final game in 25 years ago with Paris Saint-Germain. So it's a very important stadium in my career. Why did you have a wander around this pitch? I always like to have a little wander around the pitch and try and figure out the atmosphere and speak to my players. Good evening. You mentioned Christian Kivu earlier on, and you said that Inter play slightly differently under Kivu this season. Besides the aggressiveness, what have you been impressed about this new Inter side under Kivu? And given you speak such good Italian, how have you learnt the language? Ultimately, every coach wants to impart their own identity. These are parameters that are very similar to what was already in place here. But he has left his mark because there are some slightly different players like Manuel Akanji, and he offers something differently defensively. We're very familiar with him in terms of the way he occupies space. And why Italian? Because I had some friends. I've always loved Italian culture. And if I can speak another foreign language, all the better.
Let's start with the strikers. Let's have a look at the matchups now between Arsenal and Inter Milan, who are their opponents this week. Let's have a look at the comparisons, what they've got and what Arsenal have got.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting game. I think Arsenal may rotate a little bit now as they're top. It feels like they're going through. When I look at the strikers for Arsenal, I think Victor Gyökeres has been spoken about way too much, in my opinion. He's having an okay season. I think when you look to the striker market and you spend the money you spend on Victor Gyökeres, you would expect a bit more. I think that's a fair assessment.
Troy, some Arsenal fans would say you're being generous with okay.
I agree. Look, I've had my say in it from the start. I got a lot of Arsenal fans giving me stick, and now all of a sudden I seem to know what I'm talking about. This encapsulates him as a person.
Oh, he's a bit unlucky. That's a difficult ball, isn't it, Troy?
No, but the problem isn't about doing that. It's the fact that watch Murillo. He slips here. When you're falling at that point, you've got to get away. You've got to get your body across. He doesn't. I just think he's struggling to have that real effect. When I look at him and I look at the players, I don't think the players trust him to give him the ball. I think Gabriel Jesus is a better footballer, all-round footballer, but he doesn't have that killer instinct of trying to get goals that Gyökeres has. For me, he's the one. Kai Havertz, again, been injured. A lot was made of him last year, but he's the best footballer and he's probably the best finisher out of the three. I think he's a fantastic footballer, and the more they get him fit and back in, I think the better opportunity they have. I think he connects the team better. I think he drops defenders down to allow Saka to run in behind. I think with Gyökeres, the team has to change a little bit too much to get to where they want. Obviously, you're an Arsenal fan, so you tell me.
I have been disappointed by Gyökeres so far. Hold-up play hasn't been there. He doesn't use his body well enough. When you're a big guy like that, you have to at least let the ball stick to you. You got to win balls in there. He's not doing any of that. He can't run in behind. His first touch has been poor. His connecting play has been poor. Even the finishing has been poor overall. He looks like a man who doesn't really have the confidence. This team doesn't quite play to his strengths, and he's not playing to their strengths. I fully agree with you. Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz are better fits for this team as they play right now. Kai Havertz is still working into this season. Gabriel Jesus is working into this season. Gabriel Jesus looks stronger. He looks a little bit, he's putting himself out about a bit. As soon as he comes onto the pitch for Gyökeres, chances start to get created. The one positive, two big positives I will say for Gyökeres is he attracts so much attention. Obviously, he hasn't been getting the goals, but he has attracted a lot of attention away from other players. And Arsenal defend much better when he's on the pitch. He will chase everything. He presses center halves.
Okay, so we've gone Jesus here.
Yeah.
But how big a question is there here?
Yeah, for me, Miles Lewis-Skelly, again, last year, I said it last year, I think he's a fantastic human being. I think he's a fantastic footballer. We have to put it into perspective. He's a midfielder by trade. Yeah. So he's playing out of position. But last year, I thought it was massively unfair by media to start comparing him to Ashley Cole.
Ridiculous.
He's the new Ashley. Ashley Cole is the best left back England have ever
One of the
produced.
best left backs of all time.
Yeah.
I agree. In my opinion, he's in the top 3. I would definitely make an argument he's number 1. And then Lewis Skelly, they started putting into that. I think Frimpong in the game against Liverpool highlighted just the lack of raw pace that he has. Wonderful technician and player, but I think the lack of game time and such a young person, and expecting him to come in and be at that level every time is very, very difficult. And I think it's going to be a massive game for him. When you start to look at him, Jeff, as a player, and you look at what was going to be coming now from this Inter side, with Henrik coming down this opposite side, Thuram will look to try and pull into these corners. This Inter team is very expansive, so if they get it right, it looks great. For me, it's a perfect game for this Arsenal setup because they're so expansive, because they play well, and the back 3 there, Bissek, Bastoni and Akanji, there's no real pace there.
None.
I think these 3 here, Trossard, Jesus and Saka, will have a field day. They'll pick them up, they'll be going 1v1, Akanji versus Saka, and I think that unless they can dominate the ball, which I don't believe any team can now against this Arsenal team, I really don't. Maybe Man City at a push. I think it's all on for Arsenal to have a big win.
Aaron, I'm interested in your thoughts as to how Mikel Arteta will approach this game. They looked tired at the weekend. They were jaded. It's been, although they had chances, a lot of fixtures, as you pointed out. They're very solid where they're sat in the Champions League. Of course, unbeaten in the Champions League, so they want to retain that. Yeah. But they've got a huge game against Manchester United at the weekend, who will have rested all week. So will he gamble and rest a few?
I think that he might rest a Gyökeres. I think we could see a different player as in Gabriel Jesus as is in this lineup. I think we might see a Jesus.
Do you think he might do 2 or 3 though?
The biggest question is left back. Will it be Timber at left back and then Ben White at right back?
Aaron, that would be tactical. Does he
physically?
Does he rest people?
The match is on Tuesday. I don't think he necessarily needs to rest them. The match against United is Sunday. That's enough time for you to play a big match and get rested and ready for this one, especially since Inter is a contender. This is a kind of a statement match for Arsenal, especially in a little bit of a rough period where they've dropped some points. I think he goes as full strength as he can, Arteta, to try to win this one convincingly, get through, qualify fully, not just to scrape through with the point that they need. I feel Arteta wants to win this one convincingly, and I think the strongest 11 he can put out, he will put out.
I think that would be the wrong choice. If it was me now, if I was working in that team, I'd be advising him, let's put out a different 11. Let's leave. Obviously, you can change Saka. Saka was on the bench of the weekend, but I would say let's take Saka out. Let's take Declan Rice out, Zubimendi out, and the 2 centre backs.
You go wholesale changes.
I would, because if we lose this game, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying.
It doesn't give anything. Also, if you go out there with your strongest team and you win 6-0, you don't gain anything.
Champions League as well, and Mikel Arteta's side are in Italy to take on last year's beaten finalists, Inter Milan, tomorrow night.
I think Arsenal is one of the best teams in Europe. For me, they're not the best team at the moment, but they're definitely up there. So it's going to be a big challenge tomorrow, but I'm confident that we're ready for it. In my opinion, the best team in Europe at the moment is Bayern. They play really good football. They score so many goals. I've seen the goal difference that they had to how much they scored, and also the ones that they couldn't concede.
This season they are first in Premier, first in Champions, and this is a proof that this club it's competitive, and it's one of the team together with Bayern, in my opinion as well, are the strongest in Europe.
Well, that is the Inter side of stuff. We are going to hear from Mikel Arteta a little bit later on this evening. But let's discuss their performance over the weekend then. Back-to-back goalless draws now for Arsenal in the Premier League. Did it feel like it was a missed opportunity for them against Nottingham Forest on the weekend? And I say that because now, especially with City losing, with Villa losing as well, 7 points clear, but it would sound better if it was a 9-point gap, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you were spot on when you asked Jamie that, and obviously Jamie's answer was no, because at the end of the day, Villa lost and Man City lost, but I knew exactly what you're saying. It could have been, it's 7 points, it could have been 9. I think if it's 9, it's title over in my eyes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's 9 points, I think it's title over. I don't think Arsenal dropped that much points, and Man City would have to win literally near enough every game from now and Aston Villa now to the end of the season, and Arsenal dropped 3 games. So now I can't really see it. 7 points, they've still got to play each other. It's still in Arsenal's hands, and it's still a good point. It's a hard place to go to Nottingham Forest, especially when Sean Dyche sets his team up like that to be hard to beat.
They were dogged, weren't they?
They were dogged, but that's what Sean Dyche wanted, because Forest haven't been like that. It's been a struggle for them, and yeah, there'll be question marks of what Arsenal. They brought in all Gyökeres and all these other players, and they're still not scoring enough goals and not creating enough chances. But you can have games like that where the team frustrate you. You've seen it before with Nottingham Forest. It's not a worry about them not scoring goals and 2 goalless draws, because they're still 7 points clear. I think if the gap was closing, then I'd start worrying a bit more. But now, I still think Arsenal are favourites to win the Premier League.
What do Arsenal need to do then? And more importantly, what does Mikel Arteta need to do with his side? Do they need to take more risks in games like that?
Yeah, I think they are taking risks. The side they picked, they changed the wingers around. They didn't play Trossard or Saka. It was Martinelli and Madueke, but they got competition for places, and he's going to have to rotate. He's brought in a lot of players. He brought Eze on. I think Eze's come on only in the last couple of games. He come on for 12 minutes, and then previously only 11 minutes. And that is, maybe you brought in a player like that to win you football matches like on the weekend, and you're probably only getting 12 minutes. Odegaard's the man in possession of the shirt at the moment, and probably deserves it because he's been in good form. But then you're looking at the goal scoring. You brought in Victor Gyökeres to score goals, and at the moment he's not scoring the goals. And now you're going to have Kai Havertz fit, Gabriel Jesus. I like them 2 players, but it just looks like they don't have that natural number 9 who could score goals, and they thought Victor Gyökeres was the one, and at the moment he's not doing it.
How much of an issue is the fact that he's not finding the back of the net?
See, it's not an issue
either.
It's not an issue because at the moment, as I said, 7 points clear, and they're still winning football matches.
So that's despite
points.
That then, isn't it?
Despite that. Imagine if he is scoring goals. They would have run away with the league at the moment. But it's difficult for him because I'm looking at him, and Victor Gyökeres is a person, he wants to occupy defenders. So in certain games, when Arsenal have games and there's space in behind, Victor Gyökeres is perfect to play but when teams are going to defend deep, then you need players who are going to have that creativity to cause teams problems, like a Gabriel Jesus, like a Havertz that can drop into pockets and make it hard for defenders. Victor Gyökeres wants to field defenders, and he wants to have that contact. The thing with Arsenal's wingers is when Saka's on his game, he'll go round, and sometimes he check back to his left foot and wants to whip crosses in. And you saw it in the game against Chelsea in the cup game, where he did score, where Saka chopped back, and then it was a crossing from, and then he played it to Ben White. Gyökeres kind of threw his head back because he was disappointed, and Ben White crossed it, and he managed to get his goal where Sanchez makes a mistake. So maybe he wants early crosses into the box, which he's not getting at the moment. But I'm telling you now, if I was in an Arsenal team, stay in the 6-yard box. You will score goals. They will create chances. He's just not in good form at the moment, but he's got to keep believing in himself.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting to hear Micah Richards talk about it on the weekend, saying maybe he needs a couple of games out of the team.
Yeah, because sometimes you can
kind of get your confidence back and then come back in. But does it work like that?
It can work like that, but you're not going to get your confidence sitting on the bench. The only way you're going to get your confidence is on the pitch delivering. So if you're going to come out of the team, because say you come out on the team for 2 or 3 games, someone comes in that position and scoring goals. You can't then evidently leave that player out who's been scoring goals. So the only way you can solve it is getting onto that pitch, getting in the right areas, staying in the team. But then when you're not scoring goals, you'll have other strikers knocking on Mikel Arteta's door, the Jesus, the Havertz, saying, why am I not being given an opportunity? That is why you've got a good squad like Arsenal have at the moment. But I think the best bet for him would be to stay in the team, not come out of the team.
Yeah. Declan Rice seemed pretty frustrated at the end of that game, and the cameras caught it as well. I think we can say that. I mean, he's talking to himself, but I mean, this was doing the rounds on social media.
It was. I've seen
What did you make of that? Is it just him being frustrated in the moment?
Yeah, that's what he is. He's frustrated. He's been outstanding for Arsenal. He's a winner. He wants to win things there, and he knows that was a huge game for them after what had obviously happened with Man City earlier on in the day. He's thinking this is a big game for us to capitalise on, and it's disappointing. But one thing Declan Rice has to realise is it's not an easy place to go to Nottingham Forest. It's not a given that every game you go to Arsenal you're going to win football matches, but that's a sign of a winner. He's frustrated. He wants to win football matches. He's disappointed. I think a lot of players can learn from Declan Rice. Yeah, maybe he didn't want to he didn't expect the camera to pick up on him what he was saying, but there's cameras everywhere, and social media is a big thing everywhere, and everyone loves to have a comment on social media.
You can't really...
you can't get away from it.
Or you can't be talking to yourself going
exactly,
like this.
yeah, you can't do like
they
that.
do it when they're talking to
That's what I'm trying to say. But no, he's frustrated, he's disappointed, but I like that. It shows he's a winner, and I like Declan Rice. I think he's a top player. He's been outstanding for Arsenal this season.
Arsenal have got, in terms of the league, Manchester United on Sunday. That is a Super Sunday clash, isn't it? And it feels like United... maybe a different prospect now after that performance against City.
This is the test, and this is going to be a huge game. Obviously, coming off the back of 2 goalless draws for Arsenal, then you're going to be looking at it and saying, oh, it's a big game for them, and Man United being in good form. But yeah, it's going to be a hell of a game. I think it's a good game. It's a good challenge for Man United. We spoke so well how positive they were on the weekend. It's a big game for Arsenal to bounce back. So yeah, that is a Super Sunday. It's one I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, you and me both. A reminder then that next up, in Arsenal next.
Yeah, listen, Arsenal, exactly. It'll be a different game.
You're the perfect person to ask about Lisandro Martinez's comments that he aimed at Paul Scholes after the match, because Scholes and Nicky Butt had been talking about him and this potential battle, of course, with Erling Haaland in that match on Saturday. But Martinez saying, come and say it to me. Come over to my house if you want. And Scholes replying on social media saying, I'll come round for a cup of tea. Yeah. Should he go round for a cup of tea? Should they talk it out?
He should. I mean, I am one to know how this sort of feels.
Yes.
Certainly getting into disputes with players. But what I would say, and I'm sure from Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt's point of view, it's never personal. You know, they're passionate about the club. I'm passionate about Liverpool. But I do think in our job, we give opinions on players and managers. So if someone wants to give an opinion on us, you've got to take it. You know, you can't be one way. Yeah. So listen, I think Paul Scholes made a really good joke about it. Hopefully they'll have a little cup of tea together, shake on it, and move on from there.
And that's it. Right, let's talk about the club you are very passionate about then in Liverpool. 6 draws now in their last 9 Premier League games. What's been, I don't know, maybe most concerning for you? What are the issues that we've seen across this run, and does Arne Slot have the answers?
The concerning thing over this run is Liverpool are playing with the handbrake on. Now, I don't think that was the case at the weekend. I think Liverpool played really well, and sometimes you have to accept